So Diego Sanchez is all done fighting. And we know that for sure to be true with the UFC. I personally think it's true just as a broad statement. I don't believe that anybody will sign and or have an interest in signing in meeting some of the numbers that Diego's just used to getting to. I happen to think that Diego's done fighting. Okay. Save that thought. This is my opinion, and this is what I'm coming to you with because get a call from Anthony Smith yesterday. And he says, Chael, I just had Diego on my show. Made a deal with Diego before the show. Diego was very clear with me. There will be no editing. Whatever is said, he wants put out. I told him we would do that. And Anthony was coming from a standpoint that over at Sirius, even if there was like a swear word put in there, because of where they're at, they don't have to beep out the swear word. So Anthony felt very comfortable in saying, we won't edit it, we'll put it out. Now he runs into a problem, which is Diego went over time. Diego was scheduled for a 30-minute block. He ends up going 43 minutes. So when Anthony and Clifford are trying to get Diego out so that they can get to a commercial break, Diego does not go out. Diego keeps saying things. It was a wonderful interview. I mean, I must tell you, aside from the logistics of whatever they had to deal with, this is Sirius XM, whatever they had to deal with and their producer, Marissa, to get the commercial breaks in there and get the advertisers, the whole reason that they're there in the first place. I'm just speaking from an entertainment standpoint. It was fantastic. I'm so glad Diego stayed. Every time Diego would speak, and look, if Diego is in fact done fighting, this is the time where I would give a thank you, tell you my favorite moments, play the quiet music, fade to black, and roll the credits, okay? I'm not sure my favorite Diego moment isn't still to come. I just don't know that it'll have anything to do with fighting. He was so interesting on this show. Diego was talking about he's afraid to drive his car because he thinks a hit could be out on him, that he's afraid to eat certain foods because he could be poisoned, and he believes that this window is open for about 2 years. Now, of course, they asked the most obvious question, why do you feel that way? Forget it. We didn't even get close to an answer on that. That wasn't the point, man. There was 43 minutes of entertainment. So Anthony tells me what had happened. He goes, I got to put this out. I've already talked to Sirius, and I told them they got to send me this, and I'll put it out through my own channels if you didn't have time to air it. But I made a deal with this guy that this thing sees the light of day in its entirety. Okay, great. Hey, by the way, Anthony, when you're doing that, send me a clip too, because I need to see this. And Diego really touched on a number of different things. And of course, the relationship between Diego and Joshua came up. And I believe it was RJ Clifford who said, if I'm wrong, it was Anthony who said to Diego the question, we don't feel that this is because of you, Diego. We feel this is because of Joshua. And you knew that that was going to come up at some point. I don't know that I've ever seen a relationship with an MMA have so many people so passionate about breaking up, about pulling apart than Diego and Joshua. I would remind you at this point, I think it's very unlikely Diego fights again. I think likely whatever Joshua and Diego do through life together will be in the world of business. I mean, if I was to guess for you, they're going to open a gym. If I was to guess for you, they're going to work on it. Joshua doesn't call himself like a martial arts coach or a boxing coach. It's like life coach or a transformation, but there's a whole different term. There's a whole other Zen that he goes after that is something that Diego would probably fit in just great with. You know, Diego, you guys may not know this, but when Diego started the yes movement, do you remember that? Do you go back this far with Diego Sanchez? He'd walk to the ring and he would say the word yes, 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 yes. And he'd get the crowd. He'd get the crowd into it. I mean, it was on beat, and he would just say the word yes until the fight started. Then he would go out and win the fight. He would usually win a fight of the night bonus in addition to all this. So, I mean, Diego's the coolest guy in the world, right? Who's cooler than that guy? The main event in the UFC, oh, by the way, who won? Nobody's cooler than the Nightmare. Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan stole that gimmick from Diego and credited it to him. Daniel Bryan will happily tell you that that's where he got it. But Daniel Bryan made millions and millions in t-shirt sales just putting the word yes with an exclamation point. Daniel Bryan, of course, being the WWE wrestler, went on to be the WWE champion, headlining major cards and major pay-per-views, doing the yes gimmick. I bring that to you because the whole yes and the whole zen and the whole mind and energy. It's a very different approach by Diego. We hadn't seen those kinds of things. There was a reason that a smart entertainer like Brian would be able to identify that and go, wow, you almost had the audience of a UFC chanting along with you. The audience of UFCs does not chant along, and you still almost had them. I'm in a business where they're very used to chanting along. I can get a whole arena to do this. And he was right. And he did. So I will tell you my favorite Diego moment, I have a feeling, is still to come. Now, I would be sad. In many ways, genuinely, I would be sad. It would hurt me. I'd feel something. I'd feel something inside if Diego, over a period of time, doesn't look back and realize how well he was treated by the UFC. Diego was given a severance, okay? UFC doesn't do severances. There is no 1099 employee in the history of time that I've ever heard of. Not just that I don't know or that I've met or that I've done myself. I haven't even heard of a 1099 employee getting a severance. They gave Diego the severance to the tune of almost $250,000. Do you know what that's about? That's about respect. That's about the UFC had an appreciation for. The UFC wanted to say goodbye the right way to their first ever Ultimate Fighter winner and champion. There's many parts of the 43 minutes of Diego. And we went way off course many times in this, okay? If you watch this piece, don't take this to get some kind of factual information. Take this to be entertained. I was entertained. Now, I could, of course, pick apart the facts that simply weren't there, but my point remains the same, which is when Diego's out there entertaining over a period of time, I still need him to know, and I need him to feel that he was respected, and he was shown a form of respect that no one has ever been shown, that nobody will be shown in the future. I would predict that for you. I do not believe that can ever happen again, particularly with the changing parts of the business. I don't think it can even happen aside from the generosity, loyalty, respect, and appreciation that the organization had for Diego. It's important to me that he knows that. It's important to me that he can see that at some time. It is very common. In fact, it is more common than not for an athlete who is with a promoter. When that relationship ends, the athlete turns on the promoter. Now, there's a number of reasons that relationship could end, including age, including injury, including the contract is up and ran its course. Including retirement by the athlete. There's a number of ways. Well, you come back to the same commonality, which is then there is always a resentment from athlete to his promoter. Vince McMahon spoke on this. Vince McMahon did this on a special about Andre the Giant, who Vince had created, located, identified, changed the man's life. But when it was all done, Andre then had resentment towards Vince. Vince said, I've never had resentment towards him. I appreciate Andre, and I had great memories with Andre. I'm also not surprised that he now has a different opinion of me because everybody else does too. And Vince said the reason and the psychology for it is simply the athlete realizes my time in this sport is done, but your time continues on. And that's a reality. And promoters can't go around and get their feelings hurt. They can do everything right. And that's ultimately what you ask yourself. When you're done with a relationship, you ask yourself one thing, and this extends to business, not just personal. You ask yourself one thing. Did we do everything right? If we did, then whatever feeling Andre the Giant, Diego Sanchez, John Doe coming next has is something that can be worked out. It has to be worked out and internalized by them. As long as we did everything right, and you as the leader, you will look around and ask your team that. Is there anything here I don't know? Was there ever a phone call? Was there ever a meeting? Was there ever a contract? Did we do everything right? And in this situation, without question, and more obvious and more in front of the cameras than anybody that come before, without question, Dana can feel that his team did everything right by Diego.